It's a brand new week, and we're very excited to have you join us on another great episode of Enterprise Morning right here on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igobike.
And I'm Choma Okoye.
All right, in a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see what we have for you this morning. And right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation also for today. But we'll get everything all produced for you. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com and also like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV S7. With us today in the studios to do justice to our newspaper reviews and possibly head on to our main conversation is Cyril Abaku, a journalist and also a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Mr. Cyril.
Good morning. Thank you.
And welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so without much ado, let's kick off our newspaper headlines with the first daily we have, and this is coming from the Punch newspaper. And the big story here says crude price hike. Dangote alleges IOC's frustrating refinery. And the writer here says Dangote accused NMDPRA of granting licenses to operators to import dirty fuel.
Okay, and still on the top strip of the Punch newspaper on cholera outbreak. 22 states get kicked as Lagos cases hit 500.
Yes.
Details are on page 2.
Very true. And still on the top strip of the same newspaper, food price hike worry operators amid 1.2 trillion naira agric budget.
And Nigerians borrow 3.9 trillion naira as economic crisis bites harder.
And also on the bottom strip of the Punch newspaper, federal government to punish supervisors approving salaries for JAPA workers.
And the Cries Embassy in Lagos experienced a little tragedy yesterday. And on that, Lagos Mall's demolition, Oyakilome promises bigger church.
All right, so that's all we have on the Punch newspaper. But let's get into the nitty-gritty and the big story here. Crude oil price hike. Dangote alleges IOC's frustrating refineries. Cyril Abaku, when we talk about IOCs, of course, talking about international operating oil companies, and of course Chevron, Shell, Total Energies, Eni, and so on and so forth. So what is happening here? I used to know that a couple of months back it was stated or reported that Dangote used to import fuel from America and so on and so forth. So tell me, could that be a boiling point from what we are having now as the remote cause of the problem? Do you think that is the case?
No. Well, it could be. I mean, it could be. You said remote cause. It
Yes.
could be. But, you know, when you're doing conflict resolution, there are remote and immediate causes, or what you may call the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, now look at the names you've mentioned. Shell is British, Dutch. Eni is Italian, right? Chevron is, I think, American, although now the Indians have bought it over from what we had.
Total France.
Is French. So these people are not, these are national entities. Even if they are private, they are national entities. They are here primarily to project and protect their countries. So seeing Dangote arise, the question would be, it's like saying that the giants in the room, I aren't feeling so happy seeing another giant trying to arise and take his own stake.
So which is similar to the airpiece
Exactly.
issue
I was
with
thinking
other
that,
international
but
companies.
in the case of airpiece, the federal government sort of came out to say they were behind airpiece. If memory serves me right, from what at least the whole debacle, we saw the federal government come out and so even the launch of airpieces direct route to flight to what's it called to London.
To London.
The government was always behind Allen Oyema.
Yes.
Which for me is the right way to go. You know, if you don't understand how global economics plays, you'll be playing amiss. Now, Dangote first, you know, granted an interview to CNN, was it 2-3 weeks ago, he raised this same concern. Now, the vice president of Dangote Industries Limited, DIL, that I think the Indian or
Indian
guy, was one that spoke to business editors over the weekend and said that the IOCs are deliberately frustrating, and in this they are breaching, I think section 109 also of the Petroleum Industry Act. Okay. There are some stipulations. One, as a producer of crude, you are legally bound to first sell to local refinery before he can sell to. But the man complained that because they knew that was a demand, they were now selling to the Dangote was buying crude from sometimes $6 above the
what they sell.
Now, why? And this is where I have my problem. This issue is not about the IOCs or Dangote. Does the market now have a regulator? I thought it was from one of your headlines. I heard you saying that they accuse somebody of giving people license to imported fuel.
Yeah.
Where is the regulator? Let me tell you something. You know, when it comes to statecraft, I like to be very, what's the word now? I like to be bare, to be naked if you like. You cannot have such big corporations in any country without having government's third eye, if you know what I mean. Having government's third eye in those places. So they didn't know that this was going on. And after Dangote raised his voice, they still didn't, they have been see no evil, hear no evil. Now that he is the CEO, as it were, of Dangote, has come out to say, this till now, there has been no response. So it just tells you that this is clearly a problem that's arising as a result of vacuum of leadership, not because businessmen, if you left it to them, they'll always do unscrupulous things. A lot of them, actually, not all, most of them will. But the reason you have a regulator is because the opportunity people to sound is the whistle and say, stop there. Why did we have to wait until the refinery came and is shouting? Our own brand, our own company is suffering in our own country.
Okay.
And foreign investors are the ones who are riding roughshod over a Nigerian investment. And the NNPC, I hope you are aware, is a shareholder in Dangote.
Yes. Okay, now this brings me to this point. Now, when you talked about airpeace, the government had the backing. Now, if we go down memory lane, seeing how Dangote Refinery was launched, the then president of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari, was around. We even had dignitaries from other countries coming to actually support. Now, at this point, I want us to also go down when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala talked about her mother being kidnapped and looking at the foreplay of the subsidy removal, subsidy coming back and everything. Now, don't you think that those, according to how Ngozi Iweala talked about, they are beneficiaries of the subsidies and everything, are still using this companies as a means? Because Dangote Refinery coming up would actually give us would kickstart the improvement of something, and definitely Nigerians believe the price of fuel.
No, so now I think I get your drift.
Yes.
But what we must not lose sight of is this: in public conversations like this, we don't bring in things that we cannot things that we cannot substantiate. You know what I mean? Of course, we know that, like the Yoruba say, when how they put it, as if you can use what has happened in the past to tell what's happening now or in the future. Yes. Right? So it is easy for us to sit back and but who are they? If we want to live by that's the man who is doing this, don't say his name. That's the person who don't say her name. Then let us go back to the place where we know that we don't need a government, we don't need a regulator, to every man to himself. But we can't be that. Somebody has come out to specifically, he has a name, he has an address, he has a company, and he's saying that these are the people who are frustrating the effort of our company. And then the fact that a law that the company didn't make, a law that the government made is being breached. Has the DPR or any of these NUPROC or whatever they are called, are they even aware? Because normally oil receipts, you see, when Dangote purchases from, there are some businesses that can be just between two people. Crude. Look, the NNPC is shareholder in Dangote. What are we even saying? When these transactions take place, is government not getting receipts? Are they not getting their own copies of what is going on? Are they not aware that Dangote in his own country is buying fuel, is buying diesel? Sorry, he's buying crude $6 above prevailing global market price, and it took him to be shouting for us to hear and then make a conversation out of it. I find it very unwholesome. This problem, like I said, the LCs have done what they are doing, which is wrong, but I don't blame them too much. I blame, you see, leadership. Let's see, people sometimes react to things. It is understandable. That is as far as, like when they say, so that's like the base of it, right? But leadership must be at the front, must be proactive. There's what they call scenario casting. Dangote Refinery coming on stream is a Nigerian, and you know how the international oil market works. It's not a playground. Oil has led to the fall of governments. Oil has led to wars. Oil has led to all kind. Did you see that the whole Osama bin Laden and Iraq, everything? What did it come down to? Oil. America, they decided to build pipeline from America to Iraq. What did it all come down to? Oil. When Iraq and Iran fought in the Gulf War, what did it end up in? Oil. So you are dealing with a resource that has the capacity to, apocalyptically speaking, that can bring everything to an end in one day.
All right.
If such was the situation, okay, how is it that government didn't even do its own SWOT analysis to say, with a company like this coming on stream, there could be dangers, there could be weaknesses, there could be threats. How do we as a government and as a country take measured and learned wisdom of likely scenarios, and what can we do if the IOC wanted to clamp down on Dangote? What can we do legally as government? All of this should be on the president's table. Except he's not aware. America protects our companies. Japan is number 3. I think is like the largest economy in the world. You need to know what the Japanese government did to make Japan what it is today after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Why are we the only people who don't know what we should be doing?
Well, I think the truth remains that, just like Choma did say, those in authority cannot act oblivious in this particular case, because they are stakeholders in Dangote Refinery, and for them not to do something or say something, means that there's something we are yet to know. But let me get to the question of apathy. Usually, when issues like this come up, the results are often achieved when there's a public outcry. But knowing what Dangote has done to Nigerians allegedly, when you talk about the price of sugar, the price of cement, how that he monopolizes all of these things and makes it difficult for Nigerians, to heave sigh of relief when they get to this product. Do you think that Nigerians might be backing Dangote in raising the outcry, if possible?
No, so well, for me, I won't even ask Nigerians to raise any outcry,
because it has often worked when such things happen like this.
So
when
it is
a pool of
so now it is
people,
up to him
yeah,
and his think tank to consider whether they want to whip up public sentiment in their favor. The only why I sound the way I sound is that I am an economic nationalist. I don't hide it. When it comes to economics, we have to be militantly very nationalistic about it. Otherwise, your country will not have a name in the Committee of Nations. So that's why I sound the way I sound, right? And I defend, but see, more than Nigeria, it is the law that must take it. Let me tell you something. It is the law that must take its course. But now, you see, Dangote began the refinery. Was it under Jonathan or so, under Buhari, right? Now, the Buhari government even rushed to go and falsely inaugurate the refinery and said that by July, there was going to be a rollout. It didn't happen. In a manner of speaking, Dangote has been talking about rollouts for a long time, and it doesn't ever happen. Now, if you look as if eventually he has come to put the blame at the doorstep of the. It's just like saying, Morgan, Mr. Dan, are you ready for business or not? That's what it will look like, right? But then again, what one can perceive, and now I'm coming down to the corner you wanted to put me in initially, is that even within governments, when sometimes political interests, there was a man who came from America to come and invest in a particular state some years ago, and the governor said, "I'm going to be the major shareholder in your." The man took his bag and went back. So in this case too, we need to know: has anybody in government ever reached out to him to say, "Gather refinery, you must give me like 2% shares or 3% shares"? And people like that, if they are there, and I've told him that, and he has rebuffed them, what do you think the consequence is going to be? They can even hire the devil and his demons to frustrate Dangote's refinery. That ordinarily should be in the interest and benefit of all Nigerians. So these are the things that this is borrowing your wisdom, Chairman.
All right. So let's move on to our next daily. What do we have?
We have Daily Independent newspaper, and the CBN year-end 21.4%. Inflation mark unrealistic, may hit 40%, coming from experts. And we have about 2 riders to that particular story. Says skyrocketing food inflation may crash economy soon. Asks fiscal authority to be proactive over high food prices.
And on the top strip of the same newspaper, reps write Tinubu demand release of Nnamdi Kanu.
And Zamfara moves to swell number of naval airports in Nigeria. State governments building beyond their capacity.
All right. I think let's get into that particular story. Zamfara moves to swell number of non-viable airports in Nigeria. State government building beyond their capacity, and that's coming from analysts. This is just a simple case of another white elephant project. We have them scattered all over the country, where we have state governors prioritize airports over other things. Ebonyi, Dave Omahi did the same thing, and since then we've never had any aircraft land there apart from when it was inaugurated and so on and so forth. So tell us, what do you think is happening here? How much of corruption?
Okay.
How much of corruption
now,
is going in?
You are there. It's the trauma way of thinking, but but for whatever it's worth, let's put the facts where they are. They are either building universities or airports. These are the two main things that they do, because that project can go on for the next 10 years uncompleted, and humongous money would have gone down the drain. This project can last for as long as the governor is in office. But the good thing is, actually, it has been inaugurated, right? The minister was over the weekend on Friday also to inaugurate it. But the mistake they all make is this: it is all for the bragging rights. It is all for we to have what you have. Maybe in the next 20-30 years, when Nigeria, if our economy has really come up to where it should be, believe me, they are going to come in handy. It will look like it was, since it's already there, it's going to become very useful for us.
So there's nothing bad about having.
Well, yes, I beg to think so. The only thing I'm going to say is that, in my opinion, globally, when we talk about development, the model is not capital first. It is always human resource first. Now, so for every airport you're building, can you show us 500,000 people that you've empowered educationally, intellectually, academically? Where are the lawyers? Where are the businessmen who are going to produce the kind of manufacturing and cargo that the airport is going to now in the next 5 or 10 years become very busy with? If you're not working, if you're not doing that, then you put the cart before the horse. And I don't believe that cart or horse, anyone should come before the other. No, I believe that what it ought to be primarily is about the people. I give an example. There are two neighboring towns in River State. The one was closer to civilization before the other one got it. The other one was more like in the forest or in the bush. The other one was close to the Atlantic Ocean. So chiefs from that place, from the ocean island, came to Lagos. They saw this Cries church in Marina and said they must build a similar thing in their hometown. The white missionaries told them, we don't think this is what you need. Why don't you use this money to invest in education? Let people go to school and come back. They can build anything they want to build. The chief said no, that they wanted to. So they wanted to spend 19,000 pounds. But this is 1920 something. In the 1920s, to build a gigantic edifice that people are not seeing its type anywhere in the world. Well, like anywhere back
at the time.
At the time in the Niger Delta, actually, east of the Niger, as we say. Okay, fine. Now, some 2-3 generations later, I'm talking about the 1990s. So from the 20s to the 90s, that's like 70 years apart, right? Some man came from that bush, from the forest town, and started giving scholarship to his people. And within 20 or so years, put the agenda of his community on the global map. So much so that if you mention the name of that town now, everybody says, oh, they have this issue, So that's the point. Between the man that built an edifice and the one that built people, the one that people have a better name, are globally recognized, even at the UN, than the one that built a house that, you wonder how many times people going to do anything there. So the Zamfara governor it may sound like futuristic thinking, but it is always not the first thing you do. The first thing you do is to build people up. It is to change your orientation. It is to look at the people historically and say, what have we always been good at? Okay? And how can we turn that into the modern language of education? In what way can we? So, for example, in the Southwest here, they've shown sufficient aptitude for the social sciences. In the South, they've shown enough aptitude for industrialization. Sure. So, the sort of education I want to even give them, one that is tailored to their natural talent and instinct. What is in Zamfara? What are people naturally willing to do? Then turn it into something that helps to create an empowered mind, so that they can become the owners of their own destiny. Building an app, you may go there and see people sweeping with broom, carry them out and sleep. That kind of thing. Somebody is bathing on the tarmac. Didn't we see this in some airports in Nigeria? People are even pushing cars on the tarmac. They will turn the airport into some kind of place that's selling Indomie and all kinds of things. It will happen because you've not put the cart before the horse. So
very
that's
well said. Very so well said. So let's move on finally to our last daily for today, coming from the Vanguard newspaper. And the big story here says the textile industry faces total collapse as a revival efforts fail. And still on the Vanguard, what do we have there?
Yeah, worshippers recount ordeal as fire got Cries Embassy Christ Embassy headquarters. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, so and we equally have Nigerian program starving in Saudi Arabia, and that's coming from Governor Bago.
And Labour to governors on the minimum wage. Rescue Nigeria from state of resentment, misery.
All right, so we have no time right about now, but let's just maybe do one or two stories if it's possible. Even in 60 seconds, if you can combine both. So let's talk about textile industry and its total collapse, which of course is inevitable in Nigeria. And then also take us on Nigerian pilgrim starving in Saudi Arabia. So
this is I mean, why do you come to this place? The governor of Kano said that to send his own pilgrims money. Say free feeding, free medicals, whatever it is, and he was just doing all those things. The thing we should tell ourselves that, and after 90 billion naira Hajj money, and they're starving there,
subsidy.
And they're starving there. Why don't you open a criminal probe into that money and see whether it was even released in the first place, or whose signature did they to take the money? We should be doing this. The president should. It means his money has been stolen. That's why, because he go past, you don't go see him. One, then number two, the issue of textile factory. See, the problem, it is the same reason people are fleeing this country. Power, non-existent. But the real reason they're shutting down is this. It is because of the smugglers.
Smugglers of what?
Smugglers of Okeka clothes now.
Oh.
Yes, that's the real reason. Because when they smuggle them into the country, they sell for way cheaper.
Oh.
And those who struggle to produce here cannot sell what they're producing.
But I just hope it won't be like the rice case, where they stopped importation of rice and what we have here is non-reachable to people.
They've not been able to stop. Hold on. This I wonder why they even say the textile is dying. I thought it was already dead. I went to the textile factory the other day to say we want to produce okay, somebody had already placed the order, but they said please go in person and help us to check. Be our inspector. I went and asked them. They said they can't give me a price now. Because the dollar rate that when I'm ready, that because they can't give us price. And that I went there because another company that we were using before had folded up and recommended a competitor, which is not done. And so when they say they are dead
already.
The people that were in Kaduna.
All right, let's just leave it at that for the want of time. I'd love to say thank you to Cyril Abaku and to let you know that he'll be around to take us also on our main conversation for today.
Yes, and just stay tuned. When we return, federal government to spend 35 billion naira on 70,000 students in student loan scheme. Details when we come back.